When I was 13, I had a dream that there was a tear in time. There was a bridge that I could walk over, and when I got to the other side, I was in the past, in another time and place entirely. To get back to the present, I had to walk through a tear in the sky. It was difficult to find this gap I could pass through. Once I was through, I was back in the present, to this parallel time and place.
How it came to be that we found ourselves in that old place up on the hill is a long story. 18 stories, in fact, as there were 18 of us. We weren't exactly the same age, but thereabouts. 14 or 15 or 16. That age when life is just truly beginning and everything is possible. You can taste it. You can taste it on your tongue like new rain. Only for us, very little was possible. Scullery maids scrubbing toilets, serving some master we could not be sure of. Cruelty, abuse, despair. Hard to say exactly, but the general shape of things was laid out for us. Our fate. The shape of it, a hole you could walk into and get swallowed up. We were orphans, and we were girls, so there wasn't much for it, really. Some of the handsomer ones might find a husband to take pity on her, but that's a different kind of service, isn't it? Unless, by some miracle, she was to fall in love, and it were to be requited. The hope of that was about as faint as the possibility of snow on a summer's day. But it did snow in summer the day we all died. A different sort of wedding. It did snow. Fat, furious flakes fell in February. We were always dressed in black except for our white collars, widowed to our lives already. We heard the train whistle and the sound of the bells at the crossing, and saw the snow falling and falling impossibly, so that we all went out to greet it. Our fates the shape of what, exactly? How could 18 of us die all at once? Vanish, all at once? Did we freeze? Did we fall through ice? Were we bludgeoned to death by our potential suitors? Slaughtered by our future employers? Taken by the ghosts of our parents? Stolen in the night? It makes no sense, even to us, really. To be dead so suddenly is disorienting. There's a house on the hill. On the hill, there's a house. Only I don't live there yet. Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Can you hear me? Because I'm about to tell you something that changed my life entirely. Just like it will change yours now. Transformed it completely. Because we don't take much time to quiet the mind, do we? To just slow down. Because nothing is as it seems. So if you'll just do this with me, just begin with me now, I'm going to take you on a journey, an inward journey of transcendence, so sublime, you won't believe it. You won't believe it, you see? You can't believe it, you see, with your mind, the way it is now. It's so cluttered. It's so cluttered with anger and fear, and that's not reality. That's not reality at all. That's the blackness talking. But if you'll just do this with me, just close your eyes. There is a bliss that arises. I can't even describe it to you. It has to be experienced. A bliss like nothing else. And a creativity you didn't know possible. It will blow your mind. It's more real than this reality. It's more real than you and me here in this room right now. It's like touching God. Seraphina the angel told me there are places to go to get lost, and found, and lost again. You, sir, sitting in that chair, are you alive there? Outrageous demagogue. I can't find a simple passage through the passage of time. I got stuck, and now I'm here. I want to tell you true stories, but all I have is my dead body. I want to tell you true stories, but all I have is this war inside me. Take it away, Red Monkey. All eyes on you. Today, I found Red Monkey. He's insane, and he has the key to the future. He's listening to death metal so deafeningly through wireless headphones. He's ahead of the times. It's terrifying. His eyes are two black holes swirling with things you can never know, and he's gesturing me with his little mitten hands. Come on, man. Stay a while. There's a secret passage behind my head. Follow the tufts of my hair and you'll get there. I'm telling you, man, it's mind-blowing. It'll change everything, I swear. There's a stitch in my ear. That's time, man. That's time passing. That's the present and past in one little stitch. Before I got this Red Monkey, he belonged to the gates of hell. He was a mascot for something horrific. I can't even utter what it was. He was evil, but he could see the present and past all at once. Wouldn't that mess you up too? Actually, he lived in the devil's shoebox as a pet, a little plaything he would take out from time to time. The devil would torture him by playing death metal through those tiny, invisible earbuds he has permanently placed. He was the devil's monkey. After I die, I will give Red Monkey back to the world. He will have been redeemed, and he'll be able to tell everyone what happened to him. After I die, I will give Red Monkey back to the world. He will scream through the streets with a kind of laughter, but it'll be tortured with the liberation of redemption. After I die, I will give Red Monkey back to the world. He will be better now. He will have melted like an iceberg. So frantic will be his liberation. He will be madness. Like all great unknown things, he will be madness, and everyone will know him. I was murdered on Saturday, the 22nd of February. Time stood still, and the world stopped. The page on the calendar did not turn, just stayed stuck on that one date. Forever. The Maharaja says, clear your mind, clear your mind. Don't think of anything, just turn up. The great teachers, you know, they had all the ideas. If you just sit in stillness, that's where the ideas come from. And then people ask me, David, why is there so much darkness? Why is there so much evil? But those are just the ideas. Those are just the ideas talking, you know, speaking through me. And I don't have to be angry. I don't have to be fearful. It's just the creativity. It's so rich. And then people ask me, David, why is your work so evil? Why? Why are your ideas so dark? Everywhere I go, people ask me the same questions again and again. And I say it is simple. Dive inside. It's vast. The silence. And those are just ideas, and you can catch them. And so the more consciousness you have, the bigger the ideas you can catch. Why are your ideas so evil, David? Why is there so much darkness in your work? Now, a razorhead, for example. We could go back to a razorhead. That came from a very deep place. Ideas. I don't get ideas from dreams. No, there was darkness that just came. And those are the ideas, and you can catch them, and they are there. They are there for you. And then everywhere I go, people ask me, why are your ideas so evil, David? If you meditate, why are they so dark? Aren't you supposed to be lighter? You know, you're going to the light. But it's just an idea. And there is something vast underneath. And that just gave me the flexibility. When I listen to the white noise, I hear God. You laugh. He speaks louder. You laugh louder. Listen to the angels whisper in the static. There are messages in the music. There are messages in the music. Red Monkey told me, and I believe him, because he is the everything, the beginning and the end, eternal. So you want to know what happened? How I died? How we all died? You are all so morbidly curious, at the edge of your seats waiting to drink blood, like vampires. There was this giant toilet, this giant Victorian toilet, pipes everywhere, and the most beautiful, intricate wooden carvings, fit for a king, royalty. Is that why they call it the throne? Well, it swallowed us whole. We were sucked down the pipes into the sewer, and we all drowned there. Does that satiate your thunderous minds, galloping across the prairie quiet to fill the silences with something? Or actually, no. Someone came in. An intruder. A shadowy figure, tall, all in black with black leather gloves. He dismantled the lead pipes. He broke into our boarding house and dismantled them and bludgeoned us all to death. Or we were slowly poisoned. Tiny traces of rat poison in our food. One by one, the stomach cramps got to be too much. And now we are all dead. That's a ridiculous sight. Schoolgirls doubled over in the throes of death. You want to know what happened to us. But you don't want to think about what will happen to you. How one day you will be dead too, 6 feet under, with no air to breathe. A heavy weight on your chest, the earth itself. How one day will be the last day as you know it. In this body, with this consciousness, with this mind, doing these things. Does it make you want to scream? Or cry? Or just bury yourself deeper in the sand? I used to think about it a little before bed, because our parents were dead and we were all orphans. So I sort of knew that one day people stop being who they are and vanish. I wondered what it was like to be one of the vanished, to get up, caught up in muted silence and infinity, to no longer be oneself, to join the white noise, or like Red Monkey says, to join the infinite parade of being. I like how he puts things. He is an oracle I consult. He is my God. I worship Red Monkey. He tells me the truth. Like the song says, linger on in the white noise. It says, come closer, stay with me. It says the truth is in the speakers. Just listen. That's it. Crystal clear crackle. Turn up the volume. Just listen. Behold, behold, behold. The kingdom is yours too.
I'm Talya. How are you all doing out there? Okay. I was just wondering if any of you, if you've ever had any kind of unusual experiences, like something really strange that maybe you couldn't explain, like, I don't know, like for example, you were alone at home and let's say like a door just swung open, or you were driving down a country road and like an orb of light flew out of the sky at you, or something like that. Like anything that you know that you felt like you couldn't explain. You felt like, how could that be possible? Like I can't have seen that. That can't have happened. Like you tried to dismiss it. Maybe I see some heads nodding. Anyone want to share a story? Anyone? It's a real invitation. I'd really love to hear from you.
Oh, I would.
Okay, one sec, I'll get you a mic.
Hello. A very long time ago, I was sleeping over at a friend's house, and because she was incredibly ill, and I'd stayed up with her all night, and at one point just went into another room to try and catch a few hours sleep. And something woke me up, and I saw an angel in the corner shouting out, going, move, move, move. And I went in to find that my friend was in dire straits and needed help.
That's incredible. Wow. It's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about, like these things that we just can't explain, but they happen, and sometimes it's hard to know what to do with them, but there they are. I mean, I've had really strange things happen to me, like really unusual things. Like, when I was 13, my grandfather died, and the night that he died, he came and he sat on my bed, and he was just looking at me, just there. I mean, it should have been really scary and kind of unsettling, but it actually was almost comforting to see him. He looked really calm and really peaceful. And my mum actually had been dressed as an alien. She was in a made-for-TV movie, and she was in full prosthetic makeup as an alien. So she had gone to her father's deathbed dressed as an alien. That's the last time she saw her dad. And it happened to me again with a neighbor that I had when I was growing up. He was like my favorite neighbor. He was just this lovely man named Mr. Brown. And I used to visit him when I was young after school, and he was a retired engineer, and he was like paralyzed on one side and moved slowly, and he would show me these beautiful things that he made in his workshop in the garage, like little worlds that actually went, like little train tables with lights and electrical things that went. And the night that he died, he turned up as well in my room. And I was in my 20s, and I didn't even know that he had died. And he looked also very peaceful. And I mean, these were things that sometimes I don't know what to do with, but I think when I was younger, I just had these channels open. And he was just there in my room, and it was this electrical storm. Have you ever had anything like that happen? You never know.
Did you know that toilets are for everyone? The flush toilet is not for everyone, but that is a mere fact of history. Nothing to get hysterical about. You could dig a hole in the ground and hope for the best. Sir John Harrington, godson of Elizabeth I, invented the first flush toilet in 1592. But no one paid any attention at all for over 300 years. All that shit got tossed in the Thames, along with horse manure and dead animals. No wonder we were so good at dying back then. There was a style of toilet that was nothing more than a box concealing a hole with a chamber pot that got emptied by someone else, if you were lucky enough. Why am I telling you about toilets? Because they are significant here. Because we got swallowed up in one and disappeared. Pay attention. The answer is in the pipes. Clarice was always lying, so that you could never find your footing in the truth. She exaggerated and embellished. She made everything more than it was. More horrible, more wonderful. She is a storyteller, and so she lied. There wasn't much left for us. We were teenage girls, left alone like that, with not much to do but make up stories. And Clarice led us to believe we saw things. Spirits on the stairs or our parents past and gone, waiting for us in the lounge room on large leather seats, as though they had been there all along. And we were teenage girls, left like that. The adults all but vanished, disappeared. And it was fashionable to believe in the invisible at the time. Clarice wanted to believe most of all. She had the most vivid imagination. And so she led us down the rabbit hole, seeing things everywhere. Dark in the day, the entire old building filled with spirits. A creak on the staircase, an invisible footfall. Flour spilled from the pantry, a ghost looking to cause trouble. And we had to believe it, because nothing else was left for us. Under the earth are artifacts. Porcelain jugs for water, a glass jar that wine was decanted in, a jar for honey, an urn for ashes, a lamp for lighting oil, a makeup case, a small bowl for breakfast, a tall vase for flowers, blue glass, and oblivious to worldly concerns. Heaven versus hell. When you think about it, one needs the other the way day needs night. If you fixate too much on heaven and getting there, and all kinds of heavenly things like angels and clouds to carry you away on, and chariots driven by white horses, and your endless unnumbered days stretching before you like a field of uncut grass, you might grow melancholic and either long for death or grow too soft and wobbly and have no spine for the difficulty that is life. Then again, if you become obsessed with visions of hell and fire-licking demons who burn your flesh with their glowing red embers of eyes, and twisted gargoyles who laugh and poke at your bones day and night, and the endless thirst and hunger that stretches before you like a banquet of nothingness, you might grow morbid and insane and have no spine for the difficulty that is life. Neither of these obsessions will prepare you for death, for the truth of departing this world. For that, we have to consult the dead, who know heaven and hell in their very beings, and Red Monkey, who knows everything there is to know about the devil and working intimately under his burning thumb. He survived it, so he must be as wondrous and amazing as we already know him to be, because we have witnessed him levitate, haven't we?
When you wind me up, you will settle down, and when you settle down, you will touch the ground. Monkeys are red, heaven is blue, hell is on fire, and so are you. First, I heard it like a roaring
There's something I want to tell you. The railway crossing in the snow. Rail lines disappearing into a white infinity. Tracks leading on and on until they seem to disappear. Snow batting your eyelids near to shut. Swatting at you like lightning bugs, only soft and melting. You are disappearing into this landscape. A white blur of infinity impossible to catch. The red light's warning that a train is coming. Bells and din lost you now. In all of this soft white landscape, you are no longer you. Soft disappearing into banks of cold, white, numbing, fat flakes fall surround you. You are disappearing, morphing into snow. And the crazy whistle of the train, flying past, as it passes right through you, a racehorse, your heart beating faster than the human heart could ever beat, gliding past, like time itself, hurtling by. There's something underneath this reality, and it goes on forever. It is never ending, and is constant, and it does not care about you or me. It doesn't want to know what happens to us. It's bigger than that. It's so much bigger. It wants us to expand our consciousness, because we are infinite. Human beings are made of infinite consciousness. That's reality. That's reality underneath this reality. Everything you touch, you are a part of. Even this language, these words cannot begin to describe it. It cannot be described. It has to be experienced. You need to dive inside to know, to even begin to know what I'm talking about. I would now like to describe a wormhole to you. Some people say it is impossible, but I know they are not, because I have traveled through one, and that is why I am here now, standing in front of you. A wormhole is a fold in the fabric of time. It is where time has been bent in two. One entrance is a black hole, and then the exit is white space. It is near to impossible to find or fabricate a wormhole, but they do exist, and the clever time traveler merely has to fold herself up into dark matter for the ride. A warning. Wormholes are violent and raucous ways to move about. They will rattle your organs and turn all your bravery to jelly. They are not for the faint-hearted, and I do not recommend them to everyone. The reason they are so difficult to find is that so few people are ready to transform themselves like that. To twist and bend into dark matter. To fold themselves up and disappear. And believe against all belief that they will emerge again somehow. Red Monkey has warned me against wormholes. He says the devil is particularly fond of them, And it is possible to get messed about in a time-space continuum and to get sucked into nothingness and never be found again. This is not something to be toyed with lightly, he says. Even physicists are too scared to admit they truly exist, because science is certain, and wormholes are for special sorts of minds that are willing to bend reality. So, have you ever wondered what it is like to be dead? Actually dead? Not close your eyes, pretend not to breathe for a while dead. Not bury yourself in the sand, childhood game, immobilized dead. Not stay underwater for as long as you can, or float on your back with your eyes closed, lungs filled, buoyant, floating and floating dead. But real dead, dead. Have you ever seen someone die? Or been with a dead body? The way the warmth slowly leaves it? The blood drains down and fluids escape? The peaceful look of a Madonna on the face of the deceased after she finally let go. Mouth slightly open, eyes wide open, as though staring into the great unknown void of existence. Although if you were bludgeoned to death, or shot down again and again, you might not look so peaceful, or shocked, or horrified, caught in mid-scream, your young body mangled into 100 different poses of murder. Your body mangled as you were shot down again and again, as though your life was a dream, and your death real, and you have to live it over and over. I can't go back there unless I can see in the dark. Underground, it is so dark you can't even imagine. It's darker than the light leaving your eyes forever. Even I cannot go back to that horrible darkness. I would like to try and exercise with you now to beat the horrible darkness. Can you close your eyes now? Really close them. Close your eyes and peer into the horrible darkness. Stay with it a moment. Can you feel your heartbeat? Hear it beating in your chest? Can you imagine the pulse of the person next to you? Feel the blood running through their veins. That may make the darkness less terrifying. For a moment.
It's so dark out there in the void. Take a leap off the ledge, off the known. Believe me to be your guide. Grow old and leave the living to the living. Alive again before we die.
I am going to tell you something. You can exist in two places at once. Two places. At the same time. When I closed my eyes and sat in the silence, I heard voices. I knew these things. You can be in two places at the same time, at the same time.
That's why this matters. Because you're probably wondering, why should I care about these dead people? How is this relevant to me right now? How is this significant to the here and now? Well, I'll tell you how. Because you can exist in two places at once. Because time isn't real. This is happening in the same moment you are about to take your next breath. The living and the dead in the same breath. You see? I have told you about this a little bit, but not a lot. I'm afraid you cannot face the horrible darkness. It's possible you are not ready to look into the void and know your end. You could be too afraid to admit that you know the horrible darkness is there, all around you, lingering all the time, staring you down when you close your eyes at night. What you don't know is that if you embrace the horrible darkness with open arms, that is how you reach the other side. That is what dying is all about. And living, too. Embracing the horrible darkness. Otherwise, life is always performed as a kind of waking slumber, a terrible ritual of avoidance, a slippery slope towards numbness. If, when you're awake and alive right now, you could embrace the horrible darkness, you would find life so much better and death so much easier. But I know. Why believe me when you can hear it from Red Monkey? And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3, 4.
When I was finishing this show, I spoke with a medium because I thought that I felt like I might be a medium. And I had lost an essential part of myself when I was about 22 years old, after a terrifying experience in the woods. I wasn't even sure if it was something that I could talk about, or that I needed to talk about, or that you needed to hear. It was magnetic forces, magnetic fields that pulled me into those woods on that afternoon when I was at university. I was 22 years old. A violent crime happened in those woods that I did not witness, that I narrowly avoided being the victim of. And it was all about magnets. The magnetic fields that pull us through life in different ways that we don't understand. The invisible forces. It was like a force field. And this one was like tuning into evil. It was like the force field I had tuned into was evil. And I felt like if I could have done something, I could have maybe prevented this crime from happening. Like if I could have read the force fields better, read the magnetism better, I could have stopped someone from being violently attacked. But I couldn't read them. I was just pulled. And I found a path through the woods I didn't know existed, but I knew where it was. It was like I had all the information. It was like a map of the universe. You have all the information, a map of the universe. You have it inside you. These inner and outer echoed through these magnetic fields. And then the police spoke to me because they thought I had some kind of information. And I hadn't seen anything, and I hadn't heard anything. But I had reported it before it happened. I had reported this crime before it was known. And so the police wanted to talk to me because they thought, how could you have this information before this information was revealed to anyone? But I really didn't have any answers for them. And I felt like if I didn't have something concrete, I needed to let it go. If I didn't know how to read these force fields, it was like I needed to let this psychic ability go. And then I spoke to a medium when I was finishing this show, because I wondered, what is it to be a medium? Are you just sharpening that magnetism? Like that listening, is it a tuning fork? Is it like a tuning fork? But then I dismissed too much of myself, too much of the threads, too much of the mystery, too much of the unknown, because of this terrible confrontation with evil. And I kind of wondered what would have happened if I could have stayed with this very difficult thing, which was at the time to say, this has happened, and now what? But I couldn't do that. I was just pulled. And now I do hear voices again, and it took me a really long time to get back to that hearing. And sometimes I can be incredulous and jump off that I can hear these impossible things in the silences, that these things do guide our existence, that there are these invisible threads that guide us, that the inner and outer do reflect each other, and that we do know that there are these invisible threads through time and space, that there is a map of the universe on the interior, and that without that, you're walking around without yourself. It's like you've shed the cloak of interior reality, because we are just living in this visible reality.
Maybe because we had lost so many, we wanted to believe that these were real, still alive. Somewhere in the background on the staircase, the light that remains when you close your eyes. We wanted to rush into it, this believing, like one of those cold rivers you know you are not to get into. You know you will be swept away. But we wanted to get into it. Rosalie and Ingrid and Harriet. We wanted to get caught up in something like that. Because we were haunted already with not knowing, with never knowing. So why not believe one more impossible thing? We had nothing to lose. My favorite time to attend to a garden is at night. For example, no one bothers you at all because no one else is gardening at night. So no one can nose into your roses and exclaim how beautifully they bloom, or comment on the kind of fertilizer you should use. How blood and bone meal is not difficult to come by these days because so many of us are dying. For example, it is so quiet. You can hear the dead humming in an invisible chorus. Or is it the mosquitoes? The beating of moths' wings? Or the buzzing and thrumming of the human heart as it leaves this world? There are certain night blooming flowers that only come out at night. They only open once. They are white against the black darkness. A screaming symphony of white, blaring open, and never again. You could sleep through it and miss it. You could be away from your garden and miss it. And then they will be gone for an entire year, faded and shut. Maybe you will never see it. Maybe you didn't water it right. Maybe it is not a perennial. Maybe you are not a night gardener. Maybe this is not your garden. Moths are creatures that only come out at night. Some people call them night butterflies. They look encrypted, entombed in dust, and they love light so much. Why are they born into darkness when all they want is light? They are ghosts of themselves, flapping away the hours against a wall. A stone wall, whitewashed, dust flapping off their fragile wings. What happens to you when you die? No one knows for certain. But in the here and now, your entire job is to expand your consciousness. Anything that does not expand your consciousness is a waste of time. And while you're in a body, time is everything. Time is everything. Time is of the essence. Make hay while the sun shines. Because you will only be as big as that expanded consciousness that you grow while you're in a body. After that, you're just energy. You enter the unified field as pure energy. And you come back until you graduate. This consciousness travels with you wherever you go, into another body, until you are ready to enter pure consciousness, eternal consciousness. But that's just what I've been told. I have no memory of previous lives or past lives or existences.
What really happened to us? If you must know, we were taken in a dense fog, a mist so deep it had substance like a human hand. We were bound and gagged. We were left to suffer in a dark room, in a cellar, until we wept blood, until the cellar floor was damp with our weeping. We died in a flood of tears, in a romance of sorrows. And the pipes, the black pipes wove their way around the dark room like a symphony of secrets. And when we pressed our ears to them, we could hear the whisperings of the other side. And sometimes they were warm with the miracle of heat, but mostly they were cold and damp and dripped with our tears. And in a final dance of death, they came off the walls and spoke the words of God, the devil, and the great beyond. We died in a cellar at the bottom of the world, forgotten like a heap of bones, once unearthed, and then jumbled. If you listen closely enough, it is all there. Everything you ever needed to know. The silence before the music, and in between the notes when the singer breathes. When the singer breathes, there is a message. In that uplifting moment before the notes are so deafening, you don't even know who you are anymore. You have to catch that split second, that infinitesimal moment. It might be tinier than a breath. It might be the beat between heartbeats, small like that. The moment between life and death where for one split second your heart is not beating. It is about to beat. It is that small and that important.
When I was young and innocent, I ripped the sky open by accident. I didn't know how powerful my paws were. But the training I got in hell gave way to reality. And now I can lift the veil to the other world with my teeth. And here it is, just for you. Take it away, kids.
So what if we were brutally murdered, bludgeoned to death by a man with a pipe?
We were.
So what if we were chopped to pieces and stuffed down plumbing?
We were.
So what if all this happened? Bad things happen to good people. The point is, I'm here now telling you about it. What if a toilet was a portal to the other world?
and we traveled through murdered and maimed to the other side where we were made whole again. It happened. It happened to me. And Red Monkey. He was there all along. I couldn't make him up. You can't make these things up. True things up, even if you tried.